Welcome to Common Grounds, recorded inside the roasting room at the Coffee Roaster in Lincoln, Nebraska. In each episode, we sit down with people from Lincoln and beyond so you can get to know the fascinating individuals who help shape our community. Grab a cup and join us. We're glad you're here. You know, Nebraska is blessed with people that are connectors, and we've got one here today to talk with us. Amanda Barker has been with the Tourism Division of the state of Nebraska. She was with Civic Nebraska, Beehive Industries. I'm going to ask her what the heck Beehive Industries was or is. She was an advisor to the mayor, and now she's head of community engagement with the Lincoln Community Foundation. And this woman has a boy and a girl that are already becoming famous in the digital world of Facebook and elsewhere, and we'll ask about that. And I saw a pecan pie.
Oh.
Did you make that?
Yes.
So you're also a pie baker.
I love nothing more than to make a good pie.
We should have made sure that she
Totally
brought
agree.
a pie.
I think this experience counts as a voucher for one pie of your choice.
Okay.
Ooh, what a deal.
I know.
And to top it off, this is like the whipped cream on the pecan pie. She was Young Citizen of the Year a few years back.
Oof.
So we're happy to have you, Amanda. Thrilled to have you here, and just a conversation with. I'm Randy Bretz, and I always forget to say who we are. And this is Marilyn Moore, the only person I know that has a school named after her. And you went to the graduation I saw.
I did.
Congratulations.
281
Wow.
8th graders.
Amazing.
So anyway, welcome, and let's just start by telling a story about how your kids are official playground testers.
Yes, it's the first line on their resume, so I'm so glad you asked. We have a dear friend, Maggie Stuckey Ross, who has been a friend for some time now, and she at the family garage sale recently was like, "Hey, can I borrow your kids for maybe an hour sometime in the next week or so?" And
How old are they?
They are, Lainey Barker is 7.5. Don't leave off the half,
It's really important.
It matters when you're that little. Just finishing first grade, or just finished first grade, I guess I can say that now. And then Colin will turn 4 next week. So he's basically
great age.
Probably a pretty quiet household, isn't it?
I'm going to tell you about my coffee cup at some point.
I
We're
should
on the
have started
go.
there, but let's
That's
go
fine.
ahead and talk about Maggie. Asked if she could borrow your kids.
Yeah, it's a common ask amongst friends, I think. And I said, yes, you bet. What do you need them for? And she said, I have a new playground that just needs to be broken in a little bit. Like, we just need to see how the kids are interacting with it. And we might film it because it might be kind of fun. And sure enough, on a Monday afternoon, I picked them up early, met her at Star City Shores, where there is a new playground that is debuting this weekend. And the kids got to run into the park and experience the new playground firsthand with some friends, Ruby and Stella.
And if you haven't, go to Facebook and look for the video.
Lincoln Park's.
Lincoln Parks and Recreation. And the riot is Maggie rides down the slide with some of the kids.
Oh, yes.
And it's a hoot.
Your parks director is very fun, and she matched them step for step for fun. And the kids took their job very seriously. At one point, I saw my son, and he had his hands on his knees, and he was really kind of looking off into space, like, really focused on giving a very accurate and precise answer. And he did. And it was
So
great.
what did they say?
I believe the statement was thrown out, best playground in the world.
Oh, well,
I know.
that's a good judge.
They were asked
know.
about the color of the surface and the softness of the surface, and I don't know. It was just interesting. How was the slide?
Yeah, they asked about the slides. What else should kids in Lincoln know about this park? And so they said, don't skip on the ropes. It's that earnest and cute feedback when you're 7 and 4,
So, all right, now I'm going to do a 180-degree turn
Wonderful.
here,
Yes.
and let's talk about your coffee cup.
Yes. So this mug that I have, it kind of has the Keith Haring artistry vibes. I don't think the artist seems to be Timothy Goodman. But to me, it looks like community. It's like, that's the reason I love this mug. It's like you're showing up, you're reading, there's people coming together in homes and spaces, and it just, trees, coffee beans. I don't know. I love the art. As I mentioned earlier, since I am a mom of young kids, we're on the go a lot. So I don't often get to like just sit and enjoy my cup of coffee at home. It's usually grabbing it and headed out the door.
I think the kind of the lines that tie it all together remind me a lot of what I think of as the vines that are part of the logo of Lincoln Community Foundation.
Yeah.
And so I like that. I like that community, that growing community out of which comes,
yes,
as I see, books and people and clouds and rainbows and everything you'd want in a community. And Waldo, right there is Waldo.
That's where Waldo is.
There's here at the bottom, there's two people, and they've got like a dialogue bubble and then like a little heart in there.
Very cool.
So like just connecting,
cool.
and I don't know. It's one of my favorites.
Well, in my introduction and her story about connecting with Maggie and her kids doing the trial project, we've talked about how Lincoln is. There is a lot of social fabric in Lincoln, but we need more.
We need more.
So we invited you to be here today to tell us about this very special project that you're about to launch. By the time people see this, it will have launched.
Oh, perfect. That's good to know. Well, I'm glad to be here talking about this. Honestly, I should back up and say I couldn't envision a more delightful conversation. So thank you for having me. And thanks for having me on to talk about this, especially because it's a passion project of mine, and it just so happens that I get to do it at work. A number of months ago, Randy Bretz had emailed myself and Tracy Edgerton, the CEO of the Lincoln Community Foundation, and said, hey, take a look at this. The Weave Institute is putting out a call for community hosts. And I think Lincoln should do it. And Tracy and I looked at it, and I thought, Tracy, this would be perfect. And she said, I agree, let's apply. And so, a little bit of grant language later, we had submitted that application about why we thought Lincoln would be well positioned to pursue the Weaver Awards, which I'll get to in just a moment. And we were selected. So the Weaver Awards is a process whereby we get to select 20 weavers, 20 connectors, ordinary people in Lincoln that are pulling people together across different mediums. It can be the arts or music or a discussion club or
book club or bowling or whatever.
Yeah, literally any medium. Don't care. And say, we're really going to focus on building up our relationships here. We want to really pull people together, look people in the eye, encounter them, understand what makes them tick, and figure out how we can kind of restore that trust that has perhaps been waning or declining across the country.
So this comes from the Aspen Institute.
Correct.
And are there others in the country that are doing this, or are we the only ones? Or
well, gosh, we would never want to be the only one, and we aren't. So the Aspen Institute, the Weave Institute, part of Aspen, they selected 25 community hosts this year. So we are one of 25 organizations across the country. I got to go to a training or an onboarding in January, and it was fascinating. You just could tell you were in a room with your people, like other weavers, people who cared deeply enough about this to like put their time and passion into it, which was really fun. So we're one of many across the country, rural, urban. We've got United Ways, we've got community foundations, we've got something called the Neighboring Project in Kansas, which is awesome. Look it up. Just all sorts of organizations that are working hard to weave that social fabric in America and doing it in a very localized way. So I'm remiss in saying these Weaver Awards that we'll give out, and we'll do 20 this year, 20 next year, and then for 2 more years following that. So for a total of 4 years, we're going to be accepting applications to select 20 weavers, 80 projects. Which I'm really thrilled about. And I hope that some progress begets other progress in this area, right? Once people see what weaving is and they think, I can do something like that. I do something similar. That we'll start to see more of that. That's the hope.
Do you have ideas in your mind about what kinds of projects people might suggest?
Yes, I think we're going to see some like dinner clubs or supper clubs, and I love that. I especially love thinking about that if it's like neighborhood based, because I'm a part of a dinner club, a supper club. We call it Cork and Fork. It's been going over 10 years now with 5 couples, and I love it. They're dear friends. They have been since college. We all have a similar phase of life. Each of us has kids. Although the 5th couple just recently had their 3rd kid, which put us out, like everybody else was 2 kids in. So, Emily and LJ, thank you. He's very cute. It's worth it. And while I love our supper club and our dinner club, it is very much like, again, a social group that we had already selected. What I'd love to see is supper clubs or dinner clubs that are like maybe neighborhood based, people who wouldn't otherwise come together socially, just that they live close by. So I anticipate seeing a number of those, which I'm excited about. I do anticipate maybe seeing a number of just neighborhood projects specifically, not necessarily centered on food. Although we know food and fellowship go together. It's just part of it. I would love to see some groups. I'm thinking of one individual who wants to talk about Black fatherhood in Lincoln and pull together a group that says, all right, if you're Black and you're a father, we want to talk about what does fatherhood look like in those parameters. And I'd love to see that application.
I've heard stories about Black childhood, what it's like to be Black and in school. And
yes. Yep.
I think about the segment of our population that I think is largely unseen.
Yes.
And particularly, I think about single moms or parents that are truly working 2 jobs in order just to sustain and their opportunities and the time to do interaction and weaving is really limited. I'm thinking, how do we expand our understanding about how people get together in those kind of circumstances? I hope you get some projects that speak to that.
I hope so too. Whether that's new mothers who are coming together, and that the notion of it takes a village to raise a child. Right. Well, that mom needs the village.
Let's make a village.
Yes, let's make a village. And so, I'd love to see those types of projects.
And neighborhood based might be a really good way for that to happen because if you don't have to drive 20 minutes to get someplace, and you're in a situation where you see each other, kids are waiting to cross the street for school, or you're on your way to the neighborhood pharmacy, or whatever it is.
Yes.
It just increases the likelihood that those connections stick.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure one of the things you hope to be true is that when the funding is over and the grant year is over and the final report is written, those connections stay strong.
They last, right.
Yeah.
Really, there are 4 elements, and you've talked about actually a lot of them here in your description. So I'm gonna pounce on it and use it. So weaving has to have 4 characteristics in order to kind of qualify for this. One, it has to be local, right? So whether it's neighborhood local or Lincoln as a city local, but just it has to be here. We're not weaving at a national level. Then it also has to be mutual, right? Giving and receiving. So this isn't a service project. Service projects are wonderful.
But that's not what this is.
But that's not what this is, right? Yeah. There is a kind of a mutuality, a giving and a receiving.
Okay, that's a good point.
And relationships are, right? The best relationships are 2-sided or multidimensional, Yeah. It has to be welcoming. Weaving has to be welcoming. So it's not, I think originally it was something like inclusive, and I think that's also a wonderful word. Inclusive usually means there are like labels or identities kind of listed, and I think we're less concerned about the identities, but just saying like, do you want to be a part of this? Would you be interested in advancing this issue or talking about this issue? And again, coming into relationship with people. And then the last one, but really the foundational one, is it has to be relational, right? It has to be premised on building and sustaining relationships over time, not transactional. So those, did I get all 4?
You got 4.
Okay,
You
phew.
did.
All right, great.
You did.
Yeah, you did very
when I've
well.
been thinking about this, I recall the quote from Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail, which is just one of my favorite sentences of all time. So when he talks about that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny. And I think there is no more powerful description of why we need to do this. And you talked about mutuality, and then and we need it because we're all tied together.
We
and
are.
when part of that network falls apart, it affects the whole network.
It sure does.
I love those 4 characteristics.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You say this needs to be local.
Sure.
And I understand that. You don't want to try to get people in Kansas and Nebraska and Wyoming talking together. But at the national level, are they planning to share these ideas so that if something really unique happens in Lincoln, they're going to share it around the country to say, you know what? This is a great way for single mothers to get together or for neighborhoods to help needy old people like Randy Bretz.
Not needy at all. Yes, the short answer is I know they'll be announcing all of the weavers the first year, the 2026 selection of weavers across the country. So there'll be a national announcement about that and highlighting. I imagine they'll do some storytelling surrounding kind of those that were really rich in kind of a learned experience. And I know we'll do some storytelling too at the Lincoln Community Foundation to highlight what these folks are doing and why it matters and why it's weaving. So yeah, I think there will be a spotlight on it. It's interesting. I'll back up here a minute and say originally the Weave Institute, they ran the Weaver Awards. They picked 3 communities to go into: Baltimore, Maryland, Wilkes County, North Carolina, and then Northwest Arkansas, so more regional as opposed to a city. And they went in and they said, we want to try this Weaver Award thing and see if it works. And while I think there were a lot of lessons learned from that, one of the lessons they did learn is they're a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. Yeah. And so folks said, well, how do you know about...
What are you doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing here? What do you know about my community? And that was, I believe, the impetus for this community host notion, to say the local organizations and institutions already have trust with folks. People know who the Lincoln Community Foundation is. And so that was the idea behind spreading and scaling it. You can't scale trust, is what David Brooks said to us in this like if you could like wave a magic wand, pump a lot of money into it, but you can't really scale that building of trust. You can scale relationships at some level. So in their mind, it was give these community hosts a grant to start the Weaver Award work and spread it across the nation. So we're part and kind of at the front end of a really cool nationwide movement.
So tell us about the logistics.
How does
somebody apply?
Great.
What funding's available? How can you use the funds?
Great questions. I'm glad you asked. So the funding is going to be $4,000 per weaver. Okay. So I would acknowledge that, and that's kind of in a range that the Weave Institute gave to us. I would acknowledge it's certainly not enough to be a full-time or part-time gig, but it's something. It's a way of recognizing maybe some of that invisible work that happens that you do to fuse your community together. So it's something. There's pretty, I would say, standard grant language applies here in terms of what you can use it for. I don't think you can use it for a political campaign. Not sure you can buy booze with it.
But you could make copies at the copy center if you need to print flyers for the neighborhood.
You bet you could. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's fairly up to the weaver's discretion about how you do use it, right? Like what do you need to build your community in this way? So whether that's food for a gathering, food and fellowship, whether that's drinks or childcare, transportation to help people get there, that's really at the discretion of the weaver. So folks can apply. It's a fairly brief application. Folks can apply starting, I think we're going to open the portal June 10th. We've been doing some testing of that portal June 10th. So it'll be open from June 10th to August 10th. So you got 2 months to apply. And I would also say this, because you do have to get some sort of letter of recommendation if you're an applicant, to say, like, here's what I want to do. Someone else sees my effort and can affirm it as being weaving work. But you could also nominate someone. So if you're sitting here thinking like, gosh, I know the perfect person for this, there will be a button on our website where you can nominate someone. And then that person, if they choose to apply, already has a letter of recommendation embedded in their
I love that idea.
I know.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that idea.
So start thinking of your weavers. I feel like I could put the two of you up here as like the poster children
Between
for
the two of
weavers.
us, we probably could come up with hundreds.
Yeah,
of people
wonderful.
that we-
Yeah,
So it's a 1-year award,
it is.
and I assume there's an expectation that at the end of the year you say what you've done and what you've learned.
Correct. We'll work hard to make it pretty low threshold to
Yes.
capture those stories.
Yes.
I think we'll probably do either a series of interviews with these weavers to say, what did you do with the money? What have you learned? How have you experienced kind of that heightened community while doing this work? And what do you want to see more of in Lincoln? I'm also toying with the idea, would love some tips here or feedback. I'm toying with the idea of pulling these weavers together next year, maybe a couple of times, maybe quarterly, to share some of those best practices.
I
right?
like that
I think
idea.
that's really smart.
Yep.
Really
We'll do it
smart.
right here in the
Oh, great. We
roasting
can do
room
it. That can be our.
and serve coffee.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. I would love to. We have something called the Community Builder Coalition as part of the Lincoln Community Foundation. We facilitate that, and it's community builders from across Lincoln. A lot of them work for organizations that you would know: Civic Nebraska, Nebraska Appleseed, the libraries, Partnership for a Healthy Lincoln, etc., LPS. But we pull them together monthly, and we talk about what are some of the challenges you're seeing in this community building work, and what do you need? And gosh, who gives away free popcorn at events? It seems tactical, but those are the sorts of things that when you pull together a group of people whose life work is to build a community, the lessons you learn and share can be really powerful.
That leads to a question I wanted to ask about the Community Foundation in general.
Ooh, great.
I mean, we've talked about the Weave Project. We have not talked about a Give to Lincoln Day, but I know that's one of the huge things. But and now you just talked about how the foundation pulls people together to say, kind of get a pulse of what's going on in Lincoln. What do we need to work on?
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit more about the foundation, and because you're the community outreach person.
I am. So I should have a spiel here, shouldn't I?
I hope it's more than a 15-second elevator
Yeah.
speech.
Yes, it is. So the Lincoln Community Foundation was founded in the 1950s here to do a fairly standard thing at the time, which was provide a giving mechanism or a financing mechanism for people to do philanthropic giving to the community. And of course, that was is a wonderful mission and a key part of what we do. Our philanthropy services team is wonderful at working with donors to say, what do you want to do with your giving, and how can we help enable you to do that? But over time, it has evolved, as so many good things do, to include a lot of work surrounding community leadership. To say the Community Foundation is well positioned to be fairly objective and to be a neutral convener in a lot of ways, and to lift up nonprofits in our community doing the good work and match them with those donors who have aligned interests. So there are 19 of us on staff working hard every day to make sure that we can kind of together for good create this beautiful space of generosity and community leadership in Lincoln. And I'm looking at former board member Marilyn Moore, thinking like she could probably tell us more about this as well.
Well, I would just add to it to say I think a couple of really major initiatives in the community in the last decade that the Community Foundation has been a significant partner and really in many ways the leader of would have to do with the development of housing, additional housing options, affordable housing options, and then also all of the attention to young children and to childcare and to early childhood education and the birth of Lincoln Littles and so forth. Those are huge efforts that make a difference for thousands of families in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yes.
And the Community Foundation's leadership has been, just as you said, it is a neutral convener and has the capacity to bring together people from pretty diverse organizations
Yes,
who don't necessarily agree on a lot of things, but can all agree that housing matters.
Right.
And young children matter. And we've got great outcomes because of that. And I really love the birth story of the Community Foundation because it was happening at the same time community foundations were being launched across the country. And it was a recognition that, well, huge donors like the Morgans and the Rothschilds and the names that you can mention.
Yes.
Got lots of attention for donating lots and lots and lots of money, which is a good thing. But that almost everybody wants to be a philanthropist.
Yes.
And the Community Foundation
Yes.
is set up so that if you're a $5 a year philanthropist, you can make that difference in your community.
You bet.
Just as someone who has the means to make a significantly larger gift. And
Yes.
and just like Weavings brings together people in neighborhoods and relationships, the foundation brings together people who have a heart for giving, and almost everyone has a heart for giving.
Yes, in some way, shape. I love that you said that. Just about anybody can be a philanthropist.
Yes, it's really true.
And to your earlier question, I think I veered off course here. Give to Lincoln Day is on May 28th. So as we're recording this, it's just this coming Thursday. This is its 15th year. So we've been doing this for 15 years now.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Yes. And to Dr. Moore's point here, it's really about any level of giving matters, and thinking about maybe shining the spotlight on organizations that you otherwise wouldn't have known or wouldn't have given to, but that small dollar gift matters just as much as the big dollar gifts. So it's exciting to watch, having been in the nonprofit space for a long time prior to coming to the Lincoln Community Foundation. I thought, gosh, there's a marketing campaign that, spools up in April and May talking about this. And I thought maybe people get tired of this, or maybe, and we've seen this across the country, other giving days have kind of either plateaued or like slowly fallen off. But Lincoln is so generous, and we keep showing up and saying like, yeah, this works. And we know that we want to support the people who are smart and well-intentioned and hardworking that are helping kind of form that safety net of our community. It's fantastic.
It is just a remarkable reflection, I think, of a very generous community.
Yes, agreed.
When we opened, we were kind of laughing about your kids
Yeah.
and their playground
Yes.
expertise
Yes.
and so forth. But that says a great deal about Lincoln. And one of my favorite questions that I like to ask people is, you grew up in Lincoln, right? Or
I did not.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Nebraska City, or south of Nebraska City, on a
Okay.
farm, but my hometown is Neb City.
But well, tell me, but you lived in Lincoln for a while.
Yeah, 20 years now.
20 years.
Ooh, let's not do that math.
Okay. Tell me one of your favorite things about Lincoln.
Oh, see, this is where it's hard. I have a lot of favorites.
Well, you can I'll give you up to 5.
Okay.
Whoa, that's really generous. He's never done that before, Amanda.
Speaking of generosity, yes. Oh, Randy, thank you.
It's Give to Amanda Day or
That's
something
really
like
true.
that.
Let's see. I would say one of my favorite things, we'll stick on the parks and rec theme here. I do love the trails and parks of our community.
I do too.
We can talk about third places or places where people gather outside of work and home and school. And I think Lincoln does that particularly well. So we often go on an evening walk with the kids, and we're within walking distance, I think, of nearly 3 parks. So that's a favorite thing, right? It gets you outside of your home. It gets you connected to others physically. The infrastructure is there. So I'll say that as one of them. I love our neighbors. We live in a double cul-de-sac and not far from a school, and we have neighbors of all ages. I'll say the ones that moved in next door to us, it's probably been 8 years now. Time goes fast. They also have 2 little kiddos, 2 little girls. And sometimes, you're parenting, you've done it, and those children going to bed is hard. And sometimes they make requests that seem unreasonable, like, Mom, I won't go to sleep unless I have a banana. So sure enough, I get a text from next door Betsy who says, my child will not go to sleep without a banana. I'm out of bananas.
Do you have a banana?
Do you have a banana? And I was like, yeah, I got a banana. So I go out to my side porch. She comes out to her front porch. and I tossed the banana to her so that Grace could go to sleep. And I just think like that's having that kind of not only close enough to literally toss a banana at her porch, but just that sense of, hey, of mutuality.
Exactly.
I need something. Yeah. And Lincoln is a town. I can share that story, but I bet any other neighborhood in this community could do the same thing.
Pretty much.
And so knowing my neighbors, I think, is right up there at the top for me as well, along with parks and trails.
Well, what do you tell people, because you've been out talking to folks about the project,
yes,
and from other communities. What do you
yes.
tell them about Lincoln? Why they should move here, or well, maybe anyway, what do you tell them about Lincoln?
Yeah.
Why is it a great place?
Yeah, I'm going to stumble through an answer here. I mean, the quality of living here is an easy, like, kind of nutshell to say. Like, there's parks, there's libraries, there's pools, there's, but really it comes down to the people. I feel like I'm a broken record today. I'm sorry. But it comes down to the people. You can find a place here where you belong, where people care about you, where people show up for you. I think there's an ease of access to a number of things here. Again, growing up in a smaller community, I loved that upbringing. Grew up on a farm, so I was often bumping around the farm with my dad. But there's access to like great shows and great things to do here that maybe wasn't always the case in Nebraska City. So
let's wrap up with just kind of a conclusion about the Weave project again.
Oh yeah.
People can apply between June 10th through August.
Correct, August 10th. Let's do that.
And you're looking for, these are what, up to $4,000 requests? They don't have to all be $4,000.
I think we're going to do a standard issue across the board. So $4,000 for every weaver. We're going to keep it simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do they find out how to apply?
Yes, I would say by the end of this month here, we got to get past a little thing called Give to Lincoln Day. By the end of this month, go to lcf.org and we will direct folks with a banner there to the lcfweaverawards.org site. And that's where you can apply or nominate someone. So that's what I would say. Either apply yourself, think of someone who is a weaver. Again, it doesn't have to be this like super citizen type of person. It could be the kind of normal, everyday, ordinary acts of showing up for others that will do it too.
It's the guy in at the end of our blog who has a mowing service and a snow removal service who somehow or other manages to keep that business going and at the same time just clears everybody's street on everybody's sidewalk on the lawn on the block after it snows. So
precisely that. Yes,
that's he is a weaver.
He is a weaver.
He's a weaver.
Absolutely.
I'm a weaver. You're a weaver. There's a poem there or something like that. All right. Thank you very much, Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda.
This was wonderful.
I appreciate you being here.
You bet.
You've been listening to Common Grounds, conversations from the roasting room at the Coffee Roaster in Lincoln, Nebraska. These conversations are designed to help us better understand the people who share this place and the stories that shape it. If something you heard today stayed with you, we invite you to keep the conversation going. Share the episode. Sit down with someone and talk. Thanks for being part of Common Grounds. We'll see you next time.